Chapter 8, Section 6. Farmers Rise Up and Protest. Farmers transformed the grasslands of the Great Plains into bountiful croplands. Their hard work, aided by improving farm machinery, greatly increased agricultural productivity. Yet many of them failed to prosper. To buy costly new machinery, many had taken out bank loans, often at high interest rates. They also owed money to merchants for the seeds they bought on credit every year, and to railroads which kept raising shipping rates. Crop prices, however, dropped as supply outstripped demand at home and in the world market. With their incomes reduced, farmers found it difficult to pay their debts. As their debts mounted, so did their anger. Farmers' frustrations give rise to populism. In 1867, Oliver Hudson Kelley started an educational and social organization to help farmers in Minnesota. Known as the National Grange, it soon spread throughout the country. The Grange helped farmers find their political voice. They channeled their anger into a protest movement based on populism, a political philosophy that favors the common person's interests over those of wealthy people or business interests. In the early 1870s, several states passed Granger laws to regulate railroad rates. In 1886, the Supreme Court ruled in the case Wabash, St. Louis, and Pacific R.R. v. Illinois that only the federal government has the right to regulate interstate commerce. In response, Congress passed the Interstate Commerce Act in 1887. This law established the Interstate Commerce Commission to ensure that railroads set reasonable and just rates. Farmers also took action through other organizations. One of these groups, the Greenback Party, was formed in the mid-1870s with a plan to raise crop prices and relieve farmers' debts. The Greenbackers' goal was to increase the amount of greenbacks, or paper money, in circulation by changing the monetary policy of the government. Monetary policy is aimed at controlling the supply and value of a country's currency. At the time, the amount of money flowed through the U.S. economy was controlled by a monetary policy known as the gold standard. According to this policy, every paper dollar in circulation had to be backed by $1's worth of gold in the U.S. Treasury. The gold standard ensured the value of U.S. currency but limited the amount of money the government could print. The Greenbackers wanted the government to increase the money supply by issuing greenbacks backed by both gold and silver. By increasing the money supply, Greenbackers hoped to fuel inflation or a general rise in prices, including crop prices. Higher crop prices would give farmers more income in which to pay off their debts. The Greenback Party failed to achieve its main goal, but it did open many Americans' eyes to the farmers' plight. In the 1880s, farmers in the South and Midwest formed local organizations called Farmers' Alliances. These groups later led to protests against railroads, banks, and other powerful interests centered in the East. In the 1890 election, many Democratic and Republican candidates claiming to support policies proposed by Farmers' Alliances won elections at the state level and seats in Congress. Yet they enacted only a few alliance proposals into law. In response, disappointed alliance members vowed to create their own national political party. The rise and fall of the Populist Party. By 1892, populism had broadened its appeal beyond farmers to include industrial workers. That year, farm and labor leaders met in Omaha, Nebraska to launch the People's Party, also known as the Populist Party. Populist candidate James B. Weaver ran for president that year on a platform that called for government ownership of railroads, the coinage of silver to increase the money supply, and other reforms designed to help working people. More than 1 million Americans voted for Weaver, about 8.5% of the total vote. The money supply remained a major issue during the 1890s. The opposing sides of the debate became known as Silverites and Gold Bugs. The Republicans generally favored the gold standard. The Democrats were deeply divided, but the Silverites prevailed as the election of 1896 approached. William Jennings Bryan won the Democratic presidential nomination with a moving speech that condemned the gold standard. In a booming voice he declared, "You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold." Instead of running their own candidate, the Populists endorsed Bryan. The Democrats lost the election, and the Populist Party soon faded from the political scene. But the anger and idealism that had given rise to populism did not fade with it. During the party's short life, many Americans had begun to rethink what government could and should do to promote opportunity for all. The power of government, in other words, the power of the people, should be expanded, declared the populist Omaha platform, to end oppression, injustice, and poverty. This vision would soon inspire a new generation of reformers.